For me, a Mani Ratnam film is like watching for how people watch a Rajinikanth film or a Kamal Hassan film. Or an Amitabh Bachchan film. All his films have been study material for me.
तो क्या अपना सपना पूरा हुआ?
It was outside his office that I stood for days together. Get it! Get it! I am that Ekalavya who still wants to be in that classroom. I don't want to be outside.
Tracking milestones of an incredible journey spanning more than 3 decades. Rahman Music Sheets. Hi friends, discover the top take as we uncover the wow factor in this episode. Do watch it till the end to grab this musical moment of the day.
Action!
2nd June 1956, Gopalaratnam Subramaniam was born. Later, he became popular as Mani Ratnam, the iconic filmmaker of Tamil cinema. In this unique birthday tribute, Gautham Vasudev Menon recalls Mani Ratnam, his films and their influence. 1983, Mani Ratnam directed his first film Pallavi Pallavi. With more than 40 films to his credit, he has mastered the art of the impossible, combining artistic with commercial elements. He creates films that inspire critical acclaim as well as become box office blockbusters.
1, 2, 3, 4.
By redefining the range and depth of Indian cinema, Mani Ratnam continues to influence a whole generation of artists. Both A.R. Rahman and Gautham Menon consider him his guru.
Mr. Mani Ratnam has a special place in your life. Why is that? Since this is his birthday special, how would you encapsulate his influence on you as a filmmaker?
Yeah, so recently we met on a stage where I was interacting with him. I had asked him a few questions and it was an interactive discussion between the two of us. And the first question I asked him was, so when can I come and work on a film of yours as an assistant? And he's got a great sense of humor. His repartees are very quick. So he said, you're too busy, Gautham. You're acting, you're singing, you're doing music. There's no time for you to work with me, he said. So I'm still hoping I'd get an opportunity to somewhere be a sort of a fly on the wall, on one of his sets. Because it was his film that set me off, right? It was his film, Nayagan, that created these images in my head and made me want to be a filmmaker. And as soon as I finished engineering, it was outside his office that I stood for days together. Of course, I'd go back home and come back the next day again, trying to meet him to get an opportunity to see if I can work with him, work under him as an assistant. But I never got the chance. I would speak to all his assistants, but I never got to meet him and everything. And then I landed up at Rajiv sir's doorstep one day and he took me in. And one of the first assignments that we were asked to go with Rajiv sir was to Mani sir's office to shoot a look test for one of the films that Mani sir was going to make. So Rajiv sir was handling the cinematography that day at Madras Talkies at Mani sir's office. And that's how I got to meet Mani sir for the first time. Of course, there was no interaction. And there was a girl who was in costume and she was sitting on a windowsill and Rajiv sir was filming and Mani sir was giving her instructions. And we had to hold, all the just figure out the lighting equipment and the soft boards and everything around, and just generally help. And then slowly, here and there, a few interactions happened. I was made to go and narrate the first script of mine, Minnale, to Mani sir by Madhavan. He said if Mani sir greenlights the project, then this project is on. So I was asked to go and narrate to Mani sir.
Love ஆயிடுச்சுனா மனசுக்குள்ள லட்சம் பட்டாம்பூச்சி படுக்கும்னு சொல்வாங்கல. இப்பதான் லைட்டா பார்க்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கு.
I hated Madhavan for that, actually, for putting me, for making me go through what I thought was going to be an ordeal, because here I was in awe of this man, and how to go and narrate to somebody like that, right? So I did a really bad, botched up job about it, but somehow the film happened. Then later there was an opportunity to film. There was an ad film based on Kannathil Muthamittal, the film that Mani sir was doing with Maddie, and I was asked to direct an ad film which was also promotional material for Kannathil Muthamittal, and it was for Pepsi, right? So the film was made. I shot the commercial, and I was asked to go and present it again to Mani sir. And he saw the thing and he said, yeah, nice. And why have you moved the camera like this? He asked me. I had a shot of the Pepsi bottle moving through the frame like that. So he asked me, how did you do this and why did you do it? So I told him. He said, oh, okay, and all that. So slowly, few interactions happened.
Pepsi?
More importantly, it was during COVID that suddenly about 8 to 10 directors got together over Zoom calls, and we managed to rope in Mani sir also to, just sort of inspire us and be with us, and from then on, somewhere there was interaction almost every day over a Zoom call and then over WhatsApp text, and then now I've got to I have had a private moment with him also where we've gone out for for dinner and stuff. So. And we've been to his house and all that. So I've slowly started interacting with him a lot more. And somewhere that dream of mine to be in that close proximity with him, just listening to him talk, picking his brain about some of the films that he's made. He doesn't get tired at all of answering questions. I've asked him about Mounaragam.
I think I love you. I love you.
About Nayak, and generally just talking to him about from his work from earlier and how he works now and all that. So everything is a learning for me from what the man imparts and what he says, for sure. There's something about his brain and the way he works that I'm inspired by. And like you said, all his films have been study material for me. Like even 10 days ago, I watched Iruvar for the shots, just breaking down, the short division from a scene and just studying it to figure out what his mind was like when he moved the camera. What would he have instructed the actor to do here and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Mr. Menon, even after directing more than 20 films, you continue to dissect Mr. Ratnam's films. Earlier too, you did say that you became a filmmaker by watching his films. Can one really become a filmmaker by watching films?
Yes, I didn't go to a film school. So you need to have it in you though. There was this imagery in my head and I had I want to write like every day as practice, and I would write not worried about the beauty of the writing, but I would just write as practice, try and write 10 pages of a story, and that's how Kaakha Minnale, Vetadu Vilayadu,
stay in the process.
All these films, Varanamayam, all these films were only because of some writing or the other that I always used to indulge in, and I did that as practice, right? But then filmmaking is science. It's art and science. There's physics in it. You need to know about lighting. You can't just go and ask a cameraman at 6:45 in the evening to take a shot that you've shot at 11 in the morning, right? You need to know and have the sense that you can't do that. But then if you want to do it, there is a way to do it also. And then if you want to shoot inside a space and make it look like night throughout, and you can do it. So you need to have all this and not just depend on the cinematographer or the production team to take your, the film forward. And even in every shot, like even as I'm sitting in front of you, I want to know what the frame is like, right? So there is a thought to it, there is a science to it that you have to learn. So there are a couple of books that I picked up. I had this thought of, should I go to a film institute, but I've already spent 4 years in engineering. This will be another 3 years. So then let me work with a filmmaker, and that is also very important, where you're working on a production. So you see the way a production unfolds, how a film falls in place with all the departments coming together. But then you also need to work in either the cinematography department or with the director. If you have a director film, I feel, for sure.
Light okay? Roll camera. Background action.
Before that was where all the learning came in, where I just sat, picked all his films, went to the theatre, first time watched it as an audience. No judgment, no learning, just watch, sit back and watch the film, unfold, the magic and everything, because for me, a Mani Ratnam film is like watching, for how people watch a Rajinikanth film or a Kamal Hassan film or an Amitabh Bachchan film. That fervor, that angst, that whole thing. I feel like that. I sit with bated breath and I watch it back to back 3 times, every film of his. And it's not religion, it's not practice, it's something that I want to do also, right? Like I'll watch the first show by myself, then I'll bring the family in to watch the second show, and then I'll watch the third show with somebody from my team. And I've done this for every film, including the earlier one that released, So then when I watched from Bombay onwards is where I started. Obviously Nayagan was accessible on VHS, so a lot of studying happened. But Bombay was a film that I remember going to the theatre, watching it for the first time, and then coming back with a pad, writing down, watching the shots. Okay, this scene is now structured and cut into so many shots. And this one shot is actually a master shot which is cut across the scene. This shot is an over-the-shoulder shot, which is used, 5 times. But then why this scene is handled in a single shot? There is no cut at all. So what is the thought behind that? So I've actually sat down and studied, and then I'd go back, study it. Then the next, I'd fully, take it inside. Then I'll go and watch it again, and I'll see the film again. So I've done a lot of studying of these films. Every film of his, Kannathil, Muthamittal, Alaipayuthey. Iruvar, for example, several times. And then all the earlier films, Mouna even recently, Lingasamy, the director, and myself, he was in his house, I was at my place. We just connected saying Mouna is on TV. Both of us say, okay, we'll watch it. And as the film was watching we were watching the films in our respective homes, we were on WhatsApp saying, okay, this scene, okay, did you notice this, did you notice that, So it was going back to school for me. It's always going back to school. That's the only learning I probably did, apart from, the English that I was taught and maybe what my father also inculcated in me. Mani sir is, like you said, I'm the Eklavya who still wants to be in that classroom. I don't want to be outside.
I think it's because of Mr. Mani Ratnam that you don't read film reviews.
Yeah, he told me that. I was devastated at a couple of reviews of some films of mine, and I just connected with him. Even to send him that text, I would take 15 minutes to figure out if is it the right thing to do. Is he writing, if I disturb him with the text, will he be annoyed with me? I didn't want him to think less of me. But I wanted some advice and I wanted some help. It was counseling for me actually. So I texted him saying, sir, these reviews and the way people write, he's not even fit to be a reviewer, but how can he analyze a film like this and all that? He said, why do you read? Did you check with a few people when you wrote the script and you made the film? How many people did you check with whether this film is right? You would have talked to the actor, you would have talked to the producer, and then they would have just said, yes, let's go ahead. Did you bother to go through a session with anybody to show them the film? Did you do a focus screening? You don't do all that. Then why are you worried now post-release that move on to your next? He said, I never read reviews. Yes, some review or the other or somebody from the team will say something, but honestly, I don't have anything on my phone, he said. So since then, I've stopped reading, of any film. It's not just my film. I do not want to be, what's the word to use? I don't want to be like drawn by a review to a film or against, you know what I'm saying, right? I don't want the review to influence me. I want to watch the film for what I feel the film is worth or, whatever. And I'm not in the mindset to diss a film or put down a film. Even the worst of films, I know there was a process and they tried something and maybe it didn't work. And we could always be in that zone, at any point. What did they do it wholeheartedly? Did the process work for them? That's all, I think of. So I just don't read any reviews. I have a lot of critics who are friends. Bharadwaj Rangan is a really good friend. And he's ripped a couple of films of mine, but I don't call him immediately and ask him why do you do that? And we still connect over the next week, so that's okay. That's his job, I guess. And that's their job. Fine. But there are certain reviewers who look at films with complete disdain and they get personal, right? They talk about the director's mind. They talk about the director's body, his face. There is a recent reviewer who needs to say something negative so that he gets more hits. Okay, he calls himself like he's Blue Sattamaran. Okay, this is away from it's not got nothing to do with Rahman and us. But since we are talking, so there's complete disdain in the way he approaches a review. He talks about the personal traits of the actor, like he calls Rajini sir a Sangi, which has got nothing to do with the film, right? And he says there's a review of a recent film of mine where he says usually Gautham Menon's films are all horrible. This film is even more terrible. And in this film, somehow, he's got the spirit of Mani Ratnam inside him. So the film looks like a very bad Mani Ratnam film. I can't understand so this is just to put down a few people. So he's already got down notes saying in this review, I'm going to kill this guy or I'm going to take on this guy, not kill. Dude, firstly, qualify yourself to be a reviewer and then look at film, its work. Whether it's a disastrous film or whether it's a bad film, there's 80 to 100 days of work that's gone in, there's money that's been put out. So the least you can do is, don't show disdain. Just say, okay, and don't put the story out. There's a way you handle a review. So whatever it is, I don't look at it. It comes through the air. I go to the theatre to watch a film of mine and I can get from the audience reaction whether this film is working or not. And that magic, that vibe is more than enough. So it doesn't need to be certified by or against by a reviewer.
Coming up next, AYM or Acham Yenabad Madamayada. The second film when Gautham and Rahman joined forces. It was released on 11th November 2016. Just 3 days after demonetization was announced in India. How did that impact the film and its music? Gautham Menon reveals in our next episode. Stay with us.
There are certain reviewers who look at films with complete disdain and they get personal, right? They talk about the director's mind, they talk about the director's body, his face. He talks about the personal traits of the actor, like he calls Rajini sir a Sangi. There's a review of a recent film of mine where he says usually Gautham Menon's films are all horrible. This film is even more terrible. And in this film, somehow, he's got the spirit of Mani Ratnam inside him. So the film looks like a very bad Mani Ratnam film. Dude, firstly, qualify yourself to be a reviewer.
Do you agree that this indeed was the moment of the day? Is your choice different? Whatever your mind says, write it in the comments section below. We will be waiting. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, press the bell icon and stay entertained.